Hello class. As promised, I said I would show you some trees and how to use the syntax generator, which is over here on the right side of the screen. This is how it comes. So it sort of shows you the structure over here. So you can see S, N, P, V, P. This is a WUG. And in here, you have this little sort of up arrow, and that creates this triangle. And that's in place of writing a D and an N. However, we're not going to use that. We're going to write and identify every single parts or each one of the parts of speech. Over here from slide number 28, and I linked these to the course calendar too, so you can see here week 10, I linked the study guide for syntax 3. So you can go and check that out, and you can get here. This gives you the practice trees that I talked about. The one that I think really displays the adverbial is this one right here. Oops. Well, anyway, I'll show you. So here's how we write the trees. We write out the sentence, we label the parts, we identify the heads and phrases, and then we start with S, N, P, P, P as the bottoms. The reason why I want to use these trees is because they look almost identical, but they're actually not. Because one of them is trees without leaves, so it's talking about the trees, it's modifying the trees. The other one is trees without gloves. Obviously these do not go together, so what happened without gloves is how the trees were planted. And if you remember, not who or what, but when, where, why, and how without gloves the trees were planted makes it an adverbial. Okay, so we want to make sure that this adverbial is sister to the V or the V bar for planted, the verb. Over here, though, we're going to put without leaves. It's going to be subordinate to trees because it's trees without leaves. Okay, so that's the basic idea that we're going for here. All right, over here, basically what we have is these brackets. So I'll start with just the basic bracket. So you want S, and then inside of this bracket, in order to make the two different branches, and you can do more because we do have some exceptions, right? Like coordinated phrases. Mike and John was the example in class. Or you can coordinate any phrase though, like I said. John likes to run and walk in the park. So you can have more than just one branch, but if you look down here, we can see that we've created two branches by doing that. This one is always going to be the NP, mostly always VP, and that creates our basic structure. And then inside the NP, you want to do the same sort of structure. However, in this NP, we just have they. So I'm going to do the first one. They planted trees without leaves. What you can do is write that here. They, oops, the headphones are getting in the way. Planted trees. So we got an NP, we have a verb, we have a noun, preposition, and another noun. So that's what we need to ensure. They will be an NP. So here's our NP. We don't even need to do anything. We can just write they. Okay, and as you can see, if you just write it next to it, these spaces don't matter, but I like to move them out a little bit further simply because it helps with management of what's going on. When it's all tight, it's really hard to see, especially when you get multiple brackets. So we're done with this side. Now we need planted trees without leaves. So that's on the VP side. We need to make two spaces for that, two branches. And we have planted, that's a verb. And then we have trees without leaves, so that's an NP. But in that NP, we have without leaves. So we're going to have two things inside of that NP. The first one is going to be the head, the noun, because it's trees. And then on the other side, we have prepositional phrase. And always P, 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 and P. So we have P and P. So then we have the basic structure, except for the fact that we have, this needs to be, the NP needs a head, which is a noun. And then we just label them. So the verb is planted. The noun is trees. Preposition is without. And the noun is leaves. And there you have it. Remember, preposition doesn't have a head. Verb has a verb phrase, noun has a noun phrase, preposition has a prepositional phrase, noun has a noun phrase, and you get they planted trees without leaves. The important thing is to see this, trees without leaves, because those go together, right? I'll take a screenshot of this, and then actually I think I can just copy it. Copy image. Maybe I'll duplicate this slide, and then I'll just put these in here. Oops, I want to go up and enter. Anyway, it's not looking good there. But I'll put these two in here, and maybe just put them here. Maybe close this up. Sorry, kind of doing. I just want you guys to be able to, or you all, I'm still working on it. It's hard when I've said it for 44 years, 43. I've been trying for a while, but we'll get there. Language is evolving, and so am I. Okay, so I put this guy in there. All right, it's in here. They planted trees without leaves. The next one is going to be they planted trees without gloves. Now, I could start with this, but to tell you the truth, it's a little bit messy for me too. It's hard to maintain and see where things are. So I just prefer to go all the way back and delete everything and go to S and P, which did not work very well. Let's see. And just start with the basic structure again. And we want they planted trees without leaves. So again, the they is here. Now, what we need to do is we need to have without gloves be sister to the V or the V bar. So we got to have trees, and without gloves needs to somehow be connected to planted. If we look over here, it's trees without leaves. So that one's pretty easy. It just is a straight line down. You basically just put two branches and keep going. But here what we need to do when we create our two branches is, first off, one of them is going to be a verb. So it's planted trees. So that's the first part. So they planted trees. Another thing about adverbials that you can test is adverbials are optional, so they don't have to be there. So they planted trees without gloves. If we just said they planted trees, that's a complete sentence, so that's fine. So without gloves is actually optional. So we can see that. That's another quality of having that adverbial. And then what we want to do is make sure it's sister to the V or the V bar. Well, the way that we do that is, instead of having the NP here, we're going to have this prepositional phrase, which is an adverbial. And we're going to create a V bar. So you just do a dash like that, creates the V bar. And then under the V bar, we want to put the two parts of speech. So the actual verb, and we want to put the object of that verb, which is the noun phrase. And there's nothing else there, so it's just another noun, which is tree. Get rid of some of the space. And then the prepositional phrase is always going to be the same in the sense that it's P, 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 and P. So there's P, 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 and P. All right, so they planted trees without, and then the noun, gloves. So when we look at this tree, and I'll copy it and put it over here too, so that we have this and you can check it out and see the different trees. So you have, here's the sentence, noun phrase, verb phrase. They is an NP, so there's no head. Here's V, V bar, V, VP. So we have the head in the phrase. Noun, noun phrase, preposition, preposition phrase, noun, noun phrase. And look, the prepositional phrase is sister to the verb, planted without glove. How were the trees planted? Without gloves. So we see that as sister to the V or the V bar, making it an adverbial. So that's basically how you're going to do that. Check this out, and if you have any questions, ask them in class. See you guys next Monday.